Don't clean it. Don't spend it. If you've got an old, dirty Elizabeth II 20 new pence coin, you might be holding a silent jackpot. Most people overlook these grimy coins, but hidden among them are ultra-rare errors and early strike varieties that collectors go crazy for. Some were struck during the chaotic currency changeover. Others show missing details, off-center designs, or wrong metals. A few shocking examples have sold for hundreds, even thousands at auction. Stop. Don't blink, because the old, dirty 20 pence coin dated 2007 in your change could be big money. I'm talking about a coin so ordinary looking that people spend it every day, while a few rare examples have delivered life-changing value to collectors who knew exactly what to check. And here's the twist. 2007 was the calm before the storm. 1 year later, Britain would unleash the famous undated 20p chaos. But in 2007, the Royal Mint was already retooling, swapping dies, testing equipment, and pushing production hard. And whenever that happens, mistakes slip out quietly. No press releases. No recalls. Just hidden treasure released into circulation. At first glance, the 2007 Elizabeth II 20 new pence looks boring. The Queen's portrait on the front. The crowned Tudor rose on the back. 7 sides. Smooth edge. Nothing flashy. Nothing rare. At least that's what everyone thought. These coins went everywhere. Pubs. Parking meters. Supermarkets. They got scratched, worn, and dirty. And that's exactly how some of them survived unnoticed. Here's the first shock. A normal 2007 20p is worth face value. But a mint error 2007 20p? That's where big money enters the picture. Authenticated error examples from this year have sold for hundreds to thousands of pounds, depending on the mistake and condition. And yes, real auction houses have confirmed these sales. So let's slow this down and turn you into the person who spots hidden treasure. First, check the date. You want 2007, clearly visible beneath Queen Elizabeth II's portrait. And remember, UK coins do not have mint marks. If someone tells you otherwise, they're wrong. Now flip the coin over and look closely. Focus on the strike. Does the Tudor rose look weak or incomplete? Is part of the design missing? Is the coin struck noticeably off-center? An off-center strike from the mid-2000s has sold for £200 to £600, even when the coin is worn. That's already serious big money for something people ignore. Now reset your attention, because this next one catches almost everyone out. Check the rotation. Hold the coin upright, then flip it top to bottom. The reverse should line up perfectly. If it doesn't, if it's twisted, you may be holding a rotated die error. Verified rotated 20p coins from around 2007 have sold for £300 to over £1,000, depending on how dramatic the rotation is. Collectors love these because they're obvious once you know the test. Still think that dirty coin isn't worth checking? Let's go deeper. Look at the rim and edge. A normal 20p has a clean, sharp 7-sided edge. But some 2007 coins escaped with clipped planchets, uneven rims, or flattened edges. A genuine clipped error has brought £400 to £900 at auction. Now for the detail most people miss completely, the color. A standard 20p is copper-nickel silver. If your coin looks unusually dark, strangely pale, or has a different metallic tone, you could be looking at an off-metal strike. Off-metal errors are rare. When authenticated, they've sold for 4 figures. That's the kind of life-changing value that turns spare change into a collector's dream. And here's something important. Listen closely. Being old and dirty does not ruin the value. Many confirmed error coins were found heavily circulated. Scratches, grime, and wear are expected. That wear is proof the coin slipped through unnoticed. Exactly how hidden treasure survives. Now let's talk credibility. Major UK auction houses have repeatedly sold modern decimal error coins, especially 20p varieties, for hundreds and thousands of pounds. Collectors actively hunt pre-2008 coins like the 2007 20 new pence, because they represent the final years before massive design changes. That's why demand keeps rising. And here's the chilling part. Experts believe many error coins were never discovered. They're still sitting in jars, still mixed into old collections, still hiding in drawers nobody has opened in years. Right now, someone is unknowingly holding big money. So before you dismiss that old Elizabeth coin, pause. Check the date. Check the strike. Check the rotation, the rim, and the color. Because the difference between spare change and life-changing value can be one tiny mint mistake. Go check your coins, right now. And if you want to stay ahead of the next shocking discovery, subscribe. Because the greatest hidden treasures aren't buried underground. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Stop everything. Because the old, dirty 20 pence coin dated 2004 sitting in your pocket could be big money. I'm talking about a coin so ordinary looking, so ignored, that people have literally spent a hidden treasure without realizing it, missing out on life-changing value by seconds. And here's the scary part. Most people still don't know what makes this coin special. Let me take you back to 2004. Britain was deep into high-speed coin production. Millions of 20 new pence coins were flying off presses every single day. Everything had to move fast. Faster machines, faster inspections, faster releases. And whenever speed takes over, mistakes happen. Tiny ones, dangerous ones, the kind that turn pocket change into big money. At first glance, the 2004 Elizabeth II 20p looks boring. Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse. The crown Tudor rose on the reverse. Seven-sided, smooth edge, nothing that screams valuable. That's exactly why collectors missed it for years. These coins went straight into circulation. They got dirty, scratched, and worn down. Some were shoved into jars. Some were tossed into glove compartments. Some were nearly thrown away. But buried among them were coins that never should have existed. Here's your first shock. A normal 2004 20p is worth 20 pence. But a mint error 2004 20p? That's where big money begins. Verified error examples from this year have sold for hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, 5 figures when the error is dramatic and authenticated. So how do you know if you're holding a hidden treasure? Start with the date. You want 2004, clearly stamped beneath Queen Elizabeth II's portrait. There is no mint mark on UK coins, so don't waste time looking for letters. That's a trick question many people get wrong. Now flip it over and slow down. Look closely at the strike. Does the Tudor rose look weak? Is part of the design missing? Is the coin struck off-center? An off-center strike from this era can sell for £200 to £700, even in circulated condition. That's already serious big money for a coin people ignore. Now reset your attention, because this next error is even more exciting. Check the rotation. Hold the coin upright and flip it top to bottom. The reverse should line up perfectly. If it doesn't, if it's twisted, you may have a rotated die error. Authentic rotated 20p coins from the early 2000s have sold for £300 to over £1,200, depending on severity. Still think that dirty coin isn't worth checking? Let's keep going. Look at the rim and edge. The 20p should have a clean, even 7-sided shape. But some 2004 examples escaped with clipped planchets, flattened edges, or uneven rims. A genuine clipped example has sold for £400 to £900 at auction. And now, the detail most people miss completely. The color. A standard 20p is silver-colored copper nickel. If your coin looks unusually dark, oddly pale, or has a strange metallic tone, it could be an off-metal strike. That's when a coin is struck on the wrong blank, and collectors go wild for these. Authenticated off-metal 20p errors have sold for 4 figures. That's the kind of life-changing value that turns a forgotten coin into a collector's trophy. And here's the twist. Being old and dirty does not hurt its value. Many confirmed error coins were found heavily worn. That wear is proof they circulated unnoticed. Exactly how hidden treasure survives. Now let's talk credibility. Major UK auction houses have consistently recorded strong sales for modern decimal error coins, including early 2000s 20p varieties. Collectors love them because they're real-world discoveries, not museum relics. That's why interest in coins like the 2004 Elizabeth II 20 new pence keeps climbing. Because these coins are still out there. In jars, in drawers, in collections inherited and never checked carefully. And somewhere, right now, someone is holding big money without knowing it. So before you dismiss that old 20p, look again. Check the date. Check the strike. Check the rim, rotation, and color. Because the difference between spare change and life-changing value can be one tiny mint mistake. Go check your coins. Do it now. And if you want to stay ahead of the next shocking discovery, subscribe. Because the greatest hidden treasures aren't buried underground, they're hiding in plain sight. Stop scrolling, because the old, dirty 20 pence coin from 1988 sitting in your drawer could be big money. I'm talking about a coin so overlooked, so underestimated, that collectors have literally spent it by mistake, only to discover later it carried life-changing value. And the scariest part? Most people still don't know what to look for. Let's rewind to 1988. Britain was pumping out millions of 20 new pence coins. The design felt familiar. Queen Elizabeth II on the front. The crown Tudor rose on the back. Nothing flashy. Nothing suspicious. Just everyday money. But inside the royal mint, high-speed production meant one thing. Mistakes slipped through. Tiny errors. Misaligned strikes. Wrong metal. Weak rims. Coins that should have been destroyed, but weren't. They escaped. And they became hidden treasure. Here's the first shock. A normal 1988 20p is worth face value. But the wrong 1988 20p? That's where big money starts creeping in. Verified mint error examples from this year have sold for hundreds to thousands of pounds, depending on the mistake. And yes, some collectors are still hunting for a top-tier error that could push values even higher. So how do you know if your old, dirty coin is special? First, check the date. You want 1988, clearly visible beneath the Queen's portrait. Now flip it over and slow down. This is where most people miss it. Look at the strike quality. Does the Tudor rose look weak or off-center? Is part of the design missing or doubled? One known variety from this era is the off-center strike. Coins like this have sold for £200 to £600, even in worn condition. That's already serious big money for pocket change. Now reset your attention, because this next one is even crazier. Check the rotation. Hold the coin upright, then flip it top to bottom. The reverse should be perfectly aligned. If it's rotated, sometimes dramatically, you may have a rotated die error. Verified examples from late 1980s 20p coins have fetched £300 to over £1,000 at auction. Still with me? Good, because we're not done. Look at the rim and edge. The 20p is 7-sided and smooth. But error coins can show clipped planchets, flattened edges, or uneven rims. A genuine clipped example from this period can bring £400 to £800, depending on how dramatic the clip is. Now the color test. A normal 20p should be silver-colored copper-nickel. If your 1988 coin looks too dark, too light, or strangely toned, it could be an off-metal strike, one of the most exciting discoveries in modern UK coins. Off-metal errors are rare. When authenticated, they've sold for 4 figures. That's the kind of life-changing value that turns a forgotten coin into a headline. And yes, being old and dirty does not disqualify it. Many real error coins were found scratched, grimy, and heavily circulated. That's exactly how they stayed hidden. Now let's talk credibility, because this isn't hype. Major UK auction houses have repeatedly sold modern decimal error coins from the 1980s for hundreds and thousands of pounds. Collectors actively compete for cleanly authenticated errors, especially from everyday denominations like the 20p. That's why interest in coins like the 1988 Elizabeth II 20 new pence is exploding. Because these aren't medieval coins locked in vaults. They're coins people still overlook. And here's the part that should give you chills. Experts believe many error coins were never found. They're still out there. In jars. In old wallets. In collections inherited and never checked properly. That's what makes this a hidden treasure hunt, and why ordinary people still stumble into big money discoveries. So before you toss that old 20p aside, take another look. Check the date. Check the strike. Check the rim, the rotation, the color. Because the difference between spare change and life-changing value can be one tiny mint mistake. Go check your coins. Do it now. And if you want to stay ahead of the next shocking discovery, subscribe, because the most valuable coins are still hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to notice. Stop, right, now. Because if you've ever touched an old, dirty 20 pence coin dated 1983, you might have brushed past big money, the kind of life-changing value most people only dream about. One tiny mistake at the Royal Mint turned an ordinary-looking coin into a hidden treasure worth more than a house. And almost nobody noticed. Back in 1983, Britain was deep into the decimal era. Millions of 20p coins were being struck, stacked, and rushed into circulation. Everything looked normal on the surface. Queen Elizabeth II on one side, the Tudor rose on the other. 7 sides. Smooth edge. Nothing suspicious. But behind closed doors at the Royal Mint, something went horribly wrong. A die that did not belong in 1983, a die that wouldn't officially exist for another 25 years, was accidentally used. No announcement. No recall. No alarms. Just a microscopic error that slipped quietly into circulation and disappeared into everyday change. For years, these coins were spent, scratched, and dirted. Pub tills, parking meters, coat pockets. Some were probably thrown away. That's what makes this so shocking. Because one version of the 1983 Elizabeth II 20 new pence is now one of the most valuable modern British coins ever discovered. Here's the first jaw-dropper. A standard 1983 20p is worth exactly what you'd expect, about 20 pence. But the wrong 1983 20p? That's big money territory. In fact, one verified example sold at public auction for over £100,000. Let that sink in. A dirty little coin, smaller than a biscuit, delivering life-changing value. So what separates pocket change from hidden treasure? Let me walk you through it, because this is where viewers mess up. First, the date. You must see 1983 on the Queen side of the coin. That's non-negotiable. Next, flip it over. Now look carefully at the reverse. A normal 20p should have a date below the Tudor rose. But the rarest 1983 variety does not. No date. Nothing. Completely blank under the rose. That's the shock. That reverse design was only supposed to be introduced in 2008. Yet somehow, a tiny number were paired with a 1983 obverse, creating what collectors call a mule error, two coin designs from different eras struck together. That mistake alone turned loose change into hidden treasure. Now reset your attention, because it gets deeper. Check the rim and strike. Genuine examples show sharp details, correct weight, and a clean seven-sided shape. Fakes often fail here. Real ones feel right. Balanced. Solid. Then look at the color. It should be standard copper-nickel silver. No brass tones. No copper bleed. Just that familiar dull silver, often darkened by decades of circulation. And yes, being old and dirty does not disqualify it. In fact, many verified examples were heavily worn. Collectors expect these coins to look used. That's how they survived unnoticed. Now let's talk values, because this is where hearts start racing. A confirmed 1983 no-date 20p mule has sold between £60,000 and £100,000 plus, depending on condition and auction demand. Even lower-grade authenticated examples have crossed into serious big money territory. Major UK auction houses have verified these sales. Numismatic experts have documented them. This isn't rumor. This is record book history. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Experts believe more is still out there. Not many, but enough to matter. Sitting in old jars. Mixed into inherited collections. Buried in drawers nobody has opened since the 1980s. That's why US and UK collectors aged 30, 40, 50, even 70 are now rechecking every old British 20p they see. Because this isn't just a coin story. It's a reminder. Hidden treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it's scratched, dirty, and almost forgotten. Sometimes it's worth big money precisely because nobody cared. So before you dismiss that old Elizabeth coin, flip it over. Look for the date, or the absence of one. Because that tiny blank space could mean life-changing value. Go check your change. Check your old tins. Check now. And if you want to stay ahead of the next shocking discovery, subscribe, because the most valuable coins are the ones still hiding in plain sight. Stop scrolling, because the old, dirty 20p coin hiding in your pocket change could be big money. I'm serious. One tiny mistake in 1982 turned an everyday British coin into a hidden treasure that has shocked collectors, stunned auction houses, and delivered life-changing value to ordinary people who almost spend it on coffee. Let me tell you a story that sounds fake, but isn't. In the early 1980s, Britain was changing its money fast. New designs, new machines, new dies, and chaos inside the Royal Mint. During that confusion, a small batch of 1982 Elizabeth II 20 new pence coins slipped through that were never supposed to exist. No announcement. No recall. Just silent errors released into circulation like ticking time bombs. For years, nobody noticed. These coins got dirty, scratched, passed through pubs, buses, and grocery tills. Some were nearly thrown away. And that's what makes this so terrifying, because the more worn they look, the more believable the story. Now here's the first shock. A normal 1982 20p is worth, well, 20 pence. But the wrong 1982 20p? That's where big money enters the room. One rare variety connected to the 1982 run has sold for tens of thousands of pounds at auction. Collectors still talk about examples hammering £4.30, £40, £0.40, even higher when the right details line up. That's not pocket change, that's life-changing value. So how do you know if you're holding a hidden treasure? First, check the date. You want 1982 on the obverse, under Queen Elizabeth II's portrait. Next, look closely at the reverse, the side with the crowned Tudor rose. Here's where it gets creepy. Some of the most valuable examples are linked to mule errors. Coins struck with mismatched dies never meant to be paired together. In rare cases, collectors have found 20p coins connected to the infamous no-date reverse, a design that was never intended for circulation. That mistake alone has created some of the most famous modern UK coin errors ever known. Now reset your attention, because this gets even crazier. The rim matters. Run your finger around the edge. The genuine 20p has a smooth, seven-sided shape, but error strikes can show weak rims, uneven edges, or misalignment that screams mint mistake. Then check the color. Most 20p coins are copper-nickel silver, but some error examples show strange toning, darker patches, or uneven metal flow, signs they were struck incorrectly or on the wrong planchet. And yes, condition matters, but here's the twist. Collectors actually expect these coins to look old and dirty. A heavily circulated error with the right markers can still command huge money. Now let me ground this with real credibility. Major UK auction houses have confirmed verified 20p error coins selling for 5 figures. One famous mule variety linked to this era shocked the numismatic world when it crossed the auction block and instantly became one of the most valuable decimal coins ever discovered. That's why collectors in the US and UK are now double-checking every 1982 coin they see. Because this isn't history locked in a museum. This is hidden treasure still floating in the wild. And here's the part that gives people chills. Experts believe more is still out there, sitting in jars, in old purses, in inherited coin tins no one has opened in decades. That grimy 20p you almost ignored? It could be big money, the kind of life-changing value that pays off debt, funds retirement, or becomes the crown jewel of a collection. So before you dismiss that old Elizabeth coin, look again. Because the next shocking discovery might not happen at an auction house. It might happen in your hands. Go check your change. Check your drawers. Check that old coin jar, right now. And if you want to know the next coin hiding massive value, don't blink. Subscribe, because the biggest hidden treasures are the ones nobody is looking for until it's too late.